Everyone, I am Saras Pandey and today's session is Microsoft Azure Training Session Part 3. Okay, let me go to agenda. So agenda of today's session is to show how to create the firewall rule for the server and also for the database. And I'll also cover dynamic data masking to mask your sensitive information in the tables. So let me go to Azure portal. Okay, so if I'll refresh this, I must have three databases here. Okay, I have total two servers and my Azure West server hosts two databases and Central server hosts only one database. So let me go to Azure West server and let me go to SQL databases. It has two databases, Azure West DB and Azure West DB2. So I haven't created any firewall rule yet. So without creating the firewall rule, let me try to connect from my local. So let me copy the database name first. So I'll go to overview. Let me copy this name and then I'll have to include the domain name, which is database.windows.net. Okay, then I'll have to provide the credentials, which is Azure admin and password. And let me try to connect this. Okay, now it is saying to create new firewall rule. I can create the firewall rule from here, but I'm not going to create the firewall rule from here. I'm go back to Azure portal. I'll go to SQL servers, Azure West servers. Here I have show firewall settings. I'll click on that. I don't have any firewall rule here. I'm going to whitelist all the IPs so that my server will be able to connect from anywhere. And rule name I'll give all IPs O.O.O.O.O 254.254.254.254. Let me save this. Okay, now I have created the firewall rule. So let me try to connect this server again. And it is able to connect. Okay, so let me go to new query window. Okay, let me copy few scripts from my presentation. Okay, so first table, which is a system table, says for dot firewall rules. This table is available under master database, and if I'll execute this, okay, it should be rules. If I'll execute this, this is the default firewall rule that Microsoft Azure has created, but this is the firewall rule that I have created. And it says the name of the firewall rule is all IPs, start address is this, end address is this, and create date is the current date, which is in UTC. So this is the firewall rule that I have created, and because of this I am able to connect. But suppose we have two databases, and actually we have two databases under this server, but my application just need to use Azure West DB, and it does not need any no, it does not require Azure West DB2. So I just want to give the access of Azure West DB, but I can do that by giving the access to a user to just Azure West DB, but still Azure West DB2 firewall connection will be still open for the IPs. I don't want to compromise the security here, and I don't want to even keep my firewall rule open for my second database. So how exactly I can do that? So I can create a firewall rule on the database basis, and if I'll whitelist the IPs only for one database and I don't have any firewall rule on server level, then I can connect only that particular database. So let me change the database here. I'll select Azure West DB, and I'm going to use this. I'm going to use this system stored procedure SP set database firewall rule. Let me check if there is any firewall rule existing. No, there is no firewall rule. Let me connect this stored procedure. Okay, I have created a firewall rule. Now let me check if it has been created in the database or not. Yes, it is created. So it says all IPs. This is the IP range and create date is current date in UTC. Okay, so now I'm going to Azure portal back and I'll create the server level firewall rule. So this is the firewall rule which I have created on server. So let me delete this. Let me click on save, and once it is saved, I'll try to connect the server again. Okay, so now I have deleted the server level firewall rule and I have a firewall rule on this DB, but this database is not open for internet, right? So let me try disconnect this session and let me try to connect again. Okay, I'll give the password. Let me try to connect, and it is still throwing the firewall rule error. That's because if I go to option and for connect to database, it has default, and default is nothing but the master database. And I haven't create any firewall rule for master database, although you cannot create, but I'll have to give the exact database name here. So I'll say Azure West DB. Okay, let me try to connect again, and now I'm able to connect, right? But I cannot see security, and under the database I cannot see the other database, right? So your database is not open, other database is not open for internet, and you can give the access and you can open the firewall for that particular databases using this stored procedure. Now if I want to delete this firewall rule from the database, how exactly I can do that? So to do that, I'll have to execute this stored procedure with the name of the firewall rule. The stored procedure is sp delete database firewall rule. Let me run this. Okay, and now firewall rule has been deleted. Let me try to connect again. Okay, it is connecting because it is already connected. I have to open a new session. Let me close this. Error. So let me pass the password again. Okay, now it is not connecting and asking me to create a new firewall rule. So this is how you can create a firewall rule or delete a firewall rule. You can create a firewall rule for the entire database server using the Azure portal. But if you want to create a firewall rule for some particular database or few of the databases out of many databases available on your server, then you can go ahead and use these stored procedures and create the firewall rule for that particular database, so that other databases will not be exposed to internet. Let me cancel this. Let me cancel this. So this is what I wanted to show for firewall. The next thing that I want to cover is dynamic data masking. And for dynamic data masking, I'm gonna use another server, which is Azure Central Server. So I don't have any firewall rule here. So I'm gonna create a firewall rule on server level. So let me say all IPs, or let me create a firewall rule for my machine this time. So I'll check my public IP. Okay, this is IP6 IP. I don't want that. So this is the IP that I'm going to whitelist. So start IP. Okay, this is the client IP that I want to, I can use. So I'll delete this. I'll again say all IPs. I'll probably have to type this IP address. Let me copy to Notepad first, and then let me try to paste it from here. Okay. Okay. So I'm just whitelisting my laptop, and I'll click on save. Now I should be able to connect this server. So let me copy this server name. Let me try to connect. So rather than connecting Azure West DB, now I'm connecting Azure Central DB. I'll have to provide the password. Okay. Okay, as I said, any firewall rule takes time to get published, so it might fail initially, but let me try one more time. And okay, the database name also here is wrong, so let me reset this and go to login. Let me try to connect again. It is still saying, so I'll have to wait for a while, and it might take 1 to 2 minutes to for the firewall rule to get published, and after that I must be able to connect this. So the IP that I have whitelisted at my client IP 157.491.57.209. Let me see what IP I have whitelisted. So let me go to Azure Central Server. Let me go to firewall rule. So 49201.233, is this the same IP? No, this is not the same IP, and that is why I'm not able to connect. So IP is 157.491.157.209. So I'm gonna whitelist this IP as well. So I'll say my machine 157.49.157. What was that? 209. And same IP I'll use for end IP address. Let me click on save, and once firewall rule will be created, I'll go back. I'll click on cancel. This time I should be able to connect. Okay, I'm able to connect. And now if I'll go under this, I have only one database and I can see this database here. So for dynamic data masking, I'm gonna create one table here. So let me copy this script. Okay, did not copy. Okay, I'm gonna create this table under Azure Central DB, and then I'll insert some record. Okay, it should throw the error because I didn't select C. Okay, it did. Let me create this table again. Now it has been created. Let me insert some data. Let me view the data. Okay, so PAN number and mobile numbers are sensitive information here, and I'm going to mask this information using dynamic data masking. So let me go back to Azure portal. Let me go to server, Azure Central Server. Under the SQL databases, I'll go to Azure Central DB. So under Azure Central DB, if I'll go down, I can find dynamic data masking here. So if you can see, it is suggesting mobile number is something that you should mask, and you can directly click on add mask and it will mask that column, but I'm gonna do it from here. I'll click on add mask. So it is suggesting a name, mask name here, but if you'll change the table name and column name here, it will change the name as well. So table, I have only one table, but I'm gonna mask PAN number. And these are the different different things, different ways to mask your values in the column. So I'm going to use default, which will X out all the values. You can also use this one for credit cards, where it will just display the last 4 digit, or this one for email IDs, and this one will use prefix and suffix. For now I'm just going to use this one, and it should X out all the values in PAN number. So let me click on add. Let me click on save, and once it is saved, my data will be masked. So let me go back and check the values here, and I'm expecting to see the correct PAN number here. And there is a reason behind it, because I'm connected using the admin account, and masking will not work for the administrator. But for application, if we are fetching this kind of information, we should not use the administrator account. So for the demo purpose, I'm going to create new users and logins. So let me copy this. Let me open new query window. Let me paste this. Let me choose master database. Okay, it is not showing. I'll type master. I'll hit enter. I'll create two logins. And as I have already created the login, so now I will create the user under the user database. So let me create these two users, user 1 and user 2. So I have created the user, but I didn't assign any role yet. So I'm going to assign a role to both the users. For user 1, it is going to be DB owner, and for user 2, it is going to be DB data reader. So let me click on execute. Let me try to connect with these users. So for user 1, if I'll try to connect first, so it is connected, and let me try to fetch the information. Okay, once it is connected, I'll just run the select statement and try to check if I'm able to see the masked value, or I'm able to see the exact value. So let me open new query. Let me run the select query personal info. So I'm expecting the unmasked result because I have created this account using DB owner role. So you cannot restrict DB owner to see this sensitive information for the database, but other database has just DB reader permission. So let me try to connect with this database. Okay, and if I'll run the same query under this database, I am expecting to see the masked values. So once this database will be connected, I'll run the select query. So let me copy the select query. Let me open a new query. And this database has just DB reader permission. So ideally it should see the masked values, and let me run this query. And yes, it cannot see the PAN number. It has X'd out all the PAN numbers. So this is how you can mask the data. And whenever you want to display the exact record, you can use the admin account. And whenever you don't want to display the exact record and you just want to display these exout values, then you can use a non-admin or non-DB owner account, and in final output the actual numbers will not get displayed. So this is how you can do dynamic data masking. And if you want to remove the data maskings, then you'll have to come here and you'll have to select the mask, and okay, you have to delete this. So let me delete this and let me save this. Let me click on OK, and let me go back. This is user 2 connection. So here user 2 was not able to see the PAN numbers, but now user 2 should also be able to see the PAN numbers. Let me execute this. And yes, user 2 can see the PAN numbers. So this is what I wanted to cover for firewall and dynamic data masking. Okay, thank you for watching this video.